D-Jetronice no start issues. Well, winter's here again in Florida, and that means that with the winter grade fuel, which is commonly used across other parts of the country and in Florida, it means that if you have a D-Jetronice car, then you might notice that your weird starting issues are returning, even if the weather does cool off a little bit. Well, does this mean that there's a problem with the fuel? Sort of, but it could also point to a problem with this guy, the fuel pressure regulator. Now, I started to deal with the D-Jetronice Mercedes about 12 years ago, and sometimes these fuel pressure regulators just did not behave. These stupid things would just never, ever do what they were supposed to do, and I didn't know it at the time. They would drive me crazy. Cars wouldn't start, it got hot, car would sit in the parking lot, it would be a pain in the butt to start, and I didn't realize that this was the source of all those problems. Now, can you adjust a fuel pressure regulator? Yes, that's what I was doing for the longest time. I would take this screw and I would turn it in like 3 or 4 turns to get the fuel pressure up to 39 psi, and while the car ran great and started somewhat better, it did not resolve the entirety of the issue. And then I learned that if the fuel pressure regulator leaks down at all, it'll induce vaporization into the fuel rail and create vapor lock because of the heat from the engine. So, how do you know it's going bad? Well, first of all, if you drive your 280 SE 4.5 or 350 SL or 450 SL and go into the grocery store with the engine at full operating temperature and you come back 20 minutes later and the car won't start, then you know that you've got a fuel vaporization issue. If the engine cools down for another 10 or 15 minutes and the car starts, well, guess what? You definitely have a fuel vaporization issue. Now, I recommend, if this hasn't been changed in a long time, replacing it. It's a $153 part from Mercedes, and the Mercedes part number is 000-078-0389. That's 000-078-0389. And the Bosch number is 280-160-007. Bosch part, Mercedes part, same thing, similar in price. If you put one of these in and the car still doesn't start, it could mean 2 things. One, you may have to adjust this a little bit. To raise the fuel pressure, you can undo this 13mm lock nut and turn this 10mm screw in. You should do it carefully and check for fuel leaks afterwards, because you are raising the rail pressure, which I do recommend doing most of the time. But it could mean that your fuel pump is under delivering. So we'll talk about that later as well. But for the most part, this is the cure-all for D-Jetronice hot start issues. So for more questions about how D-Jetronice injection works, hit me up. And in the meantime, think about supporting us on Patreon. And remember to like and share, because without liking and sharing, how are people going to know that we have such a great channel? Thank you.